Hello and welcome back to Downtime Activities. Back with another set of episodes, I suppose. Another section, another play session here for our single-player Star Wars RPG campaign with Riden, the up-and-coming, soon-to-be feared bounty hunter. We are on Nar Shaddaa, the
Unfortunately, most of the people I've captured are dead.
You've delivered them to someone who has then killed them. Mm-hmm. So, yes. Allegedly. Bloodstains have shown...
It makes it hard to get the word out when...
Hey, word of mouth goes a long way. From the people you've done the jobs for, not done the jobs upon, I suppose. But as we left last time, you had just finished another job for the kind of biker gang, swoop bike gang that you've been working with. A pretty big job where they paid you quite well for taking out the leader of the Nexaclaw gang. Which ended also with you getting a new ally. A heavily modified, customized, and criminalified? Gangified? A B2 battle droid that's been turned into kind of a personal bodyguard and bounty hunter companion by somebody, and then was in the possession of the previous leader of the Nexaclaw gang. In return for this, you were paid very handsomely, as well as given a kind of promise of an invitation, or at least putting your name on the lips of a much larger syndicate that operates on the moon of Nar Shaddaa. You've had a little bit of time since this last session to spend this money, as well as some non-in-world currency, that being experience points, to kind of upgrade your character a little bit. Do you want to you don't have to go into like every minute detail. Do you want to just give like a little rundown of what you did, since we kind of did that off camera?
XP wise was pretty basic. Bought another rank in coercion and another rank in ranged heavy.
Seem to be two things you'll be using quite a bit.
Yeah. That it just seemed pretty fitting. I'm not buying any armor yet. We've talked about that in between in between sessions. So I got my heavy blaster pistol Heka modified, because this is a place for it. Decreasing the range but increasing the damage more or less is how it shakes out. And then bought a heavy blaster rifle, which I suppose I should just go ahead and spend money for the sling, because might as well.
Of all the customization options you got done for weapons since last time, the sling is certainly the least consequential.
The other thing that I wanted to do was, because there is there technically an Imperial outpost?
Yes, there is.
On this moon?
There's probably multiple.
Right.
As far as there's probably kind of a central HQ sort of building that the Empire operates out of that probably has their own landing bays and stuff like that.
I guess whichever one will let me do it. I would like to get officially registered as a bounty hunter.
Okay.
And get Skull registered as a bounty droid.
Okay.
If possible.
All right.
Well, I've got the money for any paperwork or fees.
Or
that kind of thing.
Definitely. Let's go ahead and... for the sake of this, do you have a speeder still? I don't remember.
Yeah, we've got the second one I stole.
That one's still functional, right?
Yeah, well, yes. Because I left the first one in an alley.
Yeah.
Despite Skull's driving, the second one is still functional.
It's very effective, albeit somewhat careless in terms of collateral damage driving. I
don't care about collateral damage. I just care about me damage.
As long as you damage is low, collateral damage is acceptable. So, for the sake of that, you can hop in your acquired speeder bike. Not speeder bike, but speeder. And there's multiple kind of checkpoints. As far as registering as a bounty hunter, there's enough of those here that there's certainly probably a small office out of that everyone goes to either pick up larger Imperial bounties as well as to register there. If you're wanting to just go and register to do that, 1 second. unless you're going about it in a way that's kind of like, if you're trying to get a better deal or like do anything subversive, you certainly can. Otherwise, there's 100% just a like legal paperwork way to do it.
That's what I figured.
And it'll be basically, it doesn't matter if it's a droid or an individual. If you're like being registered as a bounty to receive or be able to pick up Imperial bounties, it's going to be 100 credits each.
Okay.
To be officially registered.
I will gladly pay that.
As well as some, like, it does require you to kind of give some specific information, like VIN number, basically, from the droid, as well as, like, your chain code equivalent. Mm-hmm. So that, like, it puts you on a registry.
Right.
Not the kind that doesn't let you, like, live near a school zone, but the kind that will have some level of them being able to track you down.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Not that you probably weren't already in the age of the Empire.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think of giving them any information they probably couldn't get a hold of anyway.
Certainly.
And it's not like they're implanting a tracking device in my arm or anything.
They're not chipping you. We're saying for those who don't know, it's just Ivan.
Whose dog is this?
I don't know, check his chip.
It's registered to a B2? Looking for a Mr. B2 skull?
Present.
Oh, good lord.
Good lord. No wonder he's such a bad dog. Look at his owner.
All those tattoos.
Clearly a bad upbringing. You know, all dogs are good. It's just ownership.
It's obvious. It's obvious. It's all glamour muscles. Really skipping leg day. Look at it. Don't even have a neck.
I love it. And unless there's something specific you're wanting to do apart from getting yourself registered and getting your equipment kind of
getting that equipment sorted out and getting registered
and as far as like the customization stuff, I mean, buying a rifle is easy enough. The customization on your pistol probably took a day or two just to like get a custom grip. They probably like have you like squeeze something and then get like a 3D model printed and then inlaid onto the grip. Stuff like that is done, and you are fully kitted out after a couple days' time, after which your good friend, Conharan, will show up. The Nikto with the cybernetic left leg will show up on his bike and basically say that you kind of arrive to let you know that an introduction has been sent ahead to the Nebula Syndicate and that they are expecting you. And they seemed rather excited, or at least... excited may not be the right word. They seemed like, oh good, like when they reached out to them, that they were just kind of like oh good, we need someone for something soon. And so you can say, if you're looking for work right now, it sounds like they've got something that could be fairly pressing to get done right away. That might be a good introduction job with them. And he kind of describes where they're in a more high class part of town, like where the sketchy casinos are instead of the sketchy dive bars.
So what you're saying is Skull should probably put on a shirt to cover up his tattoos?
No, probably
going
not.
to meet with high society.
Yeah, you're going to go hobnob with the rich and famous, and by that I mean like the bounty hunters who have killed more important people, and the smugglers who have smuggled enough to be able to blow more money at a casino instead of just at a bar.
If Dev ever actually completed any of his contracts, he might reach that point someday.
That's asking a lot for Dev.
I'm happy you never got to play Devs, just so that he could become an NPC in all of these.
I've gotten a lot more mileage out of that character sheet than it really deserved.
Well, I guess we'll hop in the speeder and we'll go see what's going down.
Okay. Going to this part of town, this part of the literal entire moon encompassed in city, it's a decent distance from where you are in the kind of like lesser shipping kind of land, the shipyard district, to what's more or less like the city center. It's like the buildings are just as tightly clustered and just as claustrophobic, and it's just a little taller and a little nicer looking. And there's a lot more of the kind of classic people constantly moving back and forth, people on every street. Like, picture Las Vegas if the streets, instead of being these mega highways, were very cramped and these sidewalks were very cramped. Everything's very tight and narrow. There's neon signs everywhere. You know, kind of like the classic, like, martini glass with the legs kicking out. Right. There's like a Twi'lek sitting in it, and all the different languages of different space-faring nations kind of up. And it's very alive and buzzing, but also very dark and foggy and claustrophobic. It's very urban sprawl. The glitz and glamour of it is only thinly veils the fact that this is still an industrial wasteland. Moving into this space, you know of like one particular skyscraper, more or less, like a fairly narrow building that clearly has like lots of windows for it's skyscraper. Like, there's lots of kind of views and what are probably like offices, but you know that the entire thing is Nebula Syndicate run. It's a fairly large building, albeit it's large vertical, not large horizontally. Right. It has lots of rooms, but each floor is probably relatively small. And you can tell it's Nebula Syndicate because plastered all over the outside of it is that kind of classic Nebula Syndicate swirling of blue and red emblem, although less like spray painted and more stylized and intentionally painted on the side of this building. Yeah. And there's you can see that at the entrance there is what appears to be doormen, though they're both droids. They're two what look like fairly high-end security droids.
I got a high-end security droid right here. I'll just walk up to one of the droids and say that I'm Riden and I'm expected.
Okay. It seems to kind of blankly stare at you for a second, like it's processing or communicating or something. And it turns and door opens, and you can see that through there is a human sitting at a more like kind of entryway building desk. It's kind of tucked. It's almost more like if you think of like a classic theater like ticket box, like he's kind of recessed into it, and it's got like a little cubby thing that he slides out. It's got a kind of like a padded box that he slides out, and he says, "All weapons need to be checked here." And you can see also he's kind of like the dude from Bespin that had like he's got like a built-in brain implant of some sort. And he said, and the droid will have to stay on this.
I was about to say, yes. I don't think he'll fit in the box.
He can wait in the lobby, which is meaning he'll stand in this small space in front of the desk.
I don't envy this guy just having to stand there and sit there and stare at Skull for however long a video. Well, I'll hand over the... I'm definitely not a big enough deal to say no, so I'll hand over the blaster pistol
and he just rifle and everything. Slides it back across, and it's just going to stay with him in this little box here.
I was going to buy a vibro knife as well.
If you'd like to say you did, you certainly can. That is easy enough to get a hold of.
I'll do it there.
Okay.
I realize as I'm handing over my weapons, I was like, I was going to buy a vibro knife.
Should have been a knife. I should have been handing you a knife right now. And unless you... You're not trying to smuggle anything in with you, I assume.
No, neither weapon I have is a very smuggleable.
Smuggleable. I like that word. So, moving through, no alarms are raised or anything as you walk through a thing that maybe would scan for those, and you're kind of directed to what's an elevator, and he says that you need to go to the top floor.
Fancy.
You think that probably there's a decent amount of production or storage or something on like some of the floors up here, but the top floor is probably like where the boss is. And getting to it, like it goes up the outside of the building, and it's very much like the kind of elevator that you see at the beginning of Star Wars Episode 2, where it's like overlooking the city.
It's like it continues to be the only, just about the only Star Wars
I promise
film
I've seen tons of I've seen all the Star Wars movies. It just happens to be the one that takes place in Coruscant the most, which is this is little Coruscant.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Picture what they would view, except much scummier, as a little Coruscant is even worse than real Coruscant. But looking out over, it's like it goes up this other, and it gives you kind of a decent look over this sector as it gets up to the top floor, kind of penthouse suite of this. And entering into that, you can see that there's a kind of 2-room setup. There's doors that lead somewhere else deeper, but there's kind of like what appears to be kind of a table or sitting area that's more for business probably, and there's also kind of a lounge area. And you can see that sitting at the table, kind of the business area of this, seeming to be poring over something on a data pad is a Duros, or a Duro, which is the Cad Bane for people who know, kind of blue-skinned, very almost look kind of like classic alien, like big eyes, slightly enlarged head, big red eyes, but blue skin. And he's sitting there. He seems to be well-dressed scumbag. Like his gear is kind of smuggler gear. Picture more like less Han Solo and more Lando Calrissian. Like he's kind of got a flair for the more fancy. You know, he's well dressed, and you can see that sitting in the kind of lounge area. There's a number of other Duros that are kind of sitting there and talking. And there's like
is this one of the families or one of the organizations that's pretty family?
It's run? It's what would probably be referred to as like an ethno syndicate. Like
right,
it is entirely run by one family. But majority of the people in the faction are not that family. Like they're just the upper echelon.
Right.
And you can see there's a number of other Duros that are kind of lounging about in this more casual area that are like sipping on drinks and smoking spice or whatever you do with spice. And there's like a number of like scantily clad Twi'leks wrapped around arms. And also about here there's a number of heavies that all appear to be like, there's a couple security droids that seem to be kind of posted like by the entrance and by the other doors, and then just kind of like hanging about, some sitting in more casual, some more like on alert. There's a number of people that are like in more or less matching armor that are humanoids. And armor seems to be fairly nice make. They seem to have fairly nice weapons, and they seem to have like branding on them of the Syndicate. Probably like some of their like more specific elite guards, troops. I'm
sure part of the idea is to impress. I find it slightly goofy and ridiculous, but I don't say that out loud when I step off the elevator.
It's definitely like a big D swinging like show of power, show of wealth.
Right.
Everything around here.
But I mean, like for those guards in particular, like Riden has such a predator prey mentality about everything that like when you start doing that, like branding yourself as like the company grunt, that's like you've made that shift the wrong way.
Uh-huh. And entering in, you I assume approach the table, though you don't go and like take a puff off the spice hoop. And you can see the guy there does
just start taking drinks out of people's hands.
You can see the guy that the guy behind the desk there has like a kind of cylinder or some sort of apparatus, and there is like what would more or less be like a hookah tube spigot thing off it that he occasionally will like grab and take a drag off of and hang back on there.
Fancy place.
And you approach the desk, I assume?
Mm-hmm. Saying, fancy place.
And he kind of finishes off a puff from the spice hookah and hangs it back on there.
The spooka. The
spooka, if you will. Oh, hookah. You know.
Somehow bordered on a very old joke.
And he will introduce himself as Kadan Tazi. Kadan Tazi, I am head of the Nebula Syndicate. You come well recommended by the Swoop Bike Gang. By the Comets, you would probably say. I'm always in need of mercs and always in need of muscle. Though the Comets, specifically Miss Horn, give me confidence that you are a step above the average muscle riffraff and could have more direct usage for some of the specific work needing done by my syndicate. Turns out that the timing could not be better for you to prove your abilities and loyalties, as we have a job needing done. As I'm sure you are well aware, we are well established in the trade of arms and armor on the moon as well as off-world. And because of this, we're always trying to stay on the cutting edge. The newest toy is the one that sells for the most. And one particular new toy has been unfortunately intercepted. A shipment of experimental weapons that was supposed to be subversely delivered to us was intercepted and taken by another organization. This organization does not know that this was a shipment for us, and we would like to keep it that way. So the reacquisition of it needs to keep our brand off of it.
Would explain why you can't send any
He says,
these tin soldiers.
Nebula Syndicate Merc in gear would certainly not send the message we intend.
Who's that guy coming down the street? I don't know. He's wearing a uniform with the Nebula Barks. Hey, who'd you steal those guns from? Oh.
The individual responsible for this interception of our shipment is a Kubaz named Nispo. Kubaz is the elephant trunk guy from the original trilogy that the spy for the Empire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one that kind of rats out.
Yeah.
That the droids are in Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Kubaz is those elephant trunk people.
Not the blue.
Not the blue elephant. Although, anyway, we'll get to that because there's a chance you run into one of those this session. But that's beside the point.
That was going to be your guys' next. If you guys had after going after the Bothan, if you guys had been like, you know what, I'm having fun doing bounty hunting. Let's go after another bounty. That would have been the next bounty.
Oh, I would have felt terrible.
But that would have been the funny thing was you would have I don't know, jumped into the room to arrest him. They're like, what?
Okay.
And then it's just and then he's just chill, because they're only 4 or 4.5 feet tall, so he would have just been chilling in the ship and everything the whole time. It would have been strangely adorable.
These are the much uglier and more punch and killable of the elephant folk of Star Wars. He says that his name is Kubaz. His name is Nispo. He is a Kubaz. And he represents a small security company who wants the weapons that we had getting here for their own force of mercs. He said that this company he represents has sent him with a small security force of droids and mercenaries, and they're trying to get the weapons off-world. Luckily for the Syndicate, they have good connections with many of the larger ships that would come and go from this particular moon, and have managed to convince the owner of the ship that they chartered to get off-world to have some engine troubles for a couple of days. So they can tell you where the ship is, and that you have probably 2 days before it'll no longer be a reasonable ship troubles, and they might look to off-world a different way. Says that the shipment in total is actually rather small. It is only 20 rifles, that they are valuable and experimental in nature. It says that he can offer you 200 credits per recovered rifle. So if you can recover all 20, that'd be 4,000 credits he'd be paying you. But if some get damaged, as I understand, these reacquisition jobs can get hairy. Damage could happen. Each one that is brought to them will be paid for, and he would rather any others be destroyed than given out to another company, as, again, having the newest shiny toy and being the only person to have it is valuable. He also says a lesser-known enterprise that we have begun branching out to is mercenary work of our own and supplying mercenaries, and these could be a useful application for specific merc jobs, and they'd like to have their mercs be the only ones with access to them if possible.
Fair enough. Do you want this... I assume you want this Nispo dead, but I'm happy to bring him back alive if you prefer to handle things yourself.
We have no interest in Nispo. We have no interest in his security company. We would like to remain on neutral terms with them. So ideally, you will kill him or leave him in a state where he doesn't know what happened or who did this with you. Ideally dead, so that he couldn't identify these rifles in the future. As for the mercs and droids, deal with as many as is necessary. Make sure that they, the keeping the Nebula Syndicate away from any speculation is top priority. So anyone who could give any sort of reasonable information to the security company needs to be dealt with permanently. As well as the already rather generous reward, he thinks, very much so. This will cement that you can get a job done at the level that the Syndicate requires and could open you up to further and more lucrative work.
All right. Been hearing a lot of that. But then again, it has mostly been true. Wow. I'll head over there right now.
He gives you a space dock coordinate or whatever.
I go pick up my guns and, more importantly, my battle droid.
Your security detail. He says that it's on a Lancer class starship. There's not a specific name for it that he knows of, but you'll be able to recognize it as one that is a Lancer class starship, and also that will be helpful because, or that won't be that necessary to know, because while you would maybe recognize it that way, it's also just like, it's going to be the one with a security detail in this particular hangar bay, which specifically a semi-professional looking security detail, not just a bunch of scumbags. It is in the main shipyard, not the
They could have picked a better looking ship.
Seems like it's
I don't
not
know.
a super pretty ship.
I don't need to tell you what it looks like.
Looks like a frisbee. I would describe it as a frisbee with a cockpit and two pod racer engines strapped to the sides.
No, that's not.
Are you looking at the Lancer class frigate?
I
or
was.
The Lancer class. It's like a Lancer class pursuit craft. I think you could also look up.
Lancer class pursuit craft. Yeah, there you go. Okay, no, that one looks fine.
Not
I actually like the Lancer craft ones. All right. No,
the frigate is like a metal tube with some shape to it.
It looks kind of like a dick. Let's be honest.
It looks kind of like a penis, with small balls and a curved head only. Just very straight and right to the head. There's like a little twang to it.
No, they picked a fine looking ship. That ship doesn't bother me. It's very Star Wars.
It's very Star Wars. It's not. I wouldn't call it like a good looking ship. It's just like a Star Wars looking ship.
Yeah, but at the same time, is the Millennium Falcon a good looking ship?
No, it's just a nostalgia looking ship.
Yeah.
It looks good because of the stories and the history too.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
The
That's
fact
kind
that
of
it doesn't look good is part of what makes it like. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the whole point. Is like when Luke first sees it, it's like seriously, what a hunk of junk.
What a hunk of junk. Exactly. But yeah, you know which bay it's currently inside of, experiencing engine troubles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there you go.
Here's where it's too bad I'm not playing a deceptive character, because man, do I have a plan that would be great if I had any.
Just have the droid do it. He's really good at deceiving people. He's very charming.
Oh, you. I guess deception is cunning, so I'm kind of more naturally suited to it. But
the droid's better at deception than it is at charm. It's not good at either.
I think that makes two of us.
He is This is a remarkably uncharming droid and a fairly undeceptive one.
Yeah, well, we'll head straight to that spaceport, I guess.
Okay.
Scope it out.
You are able to drive there. It's not like restricted access or anything like that. That particular like kind of docking bay has a number of other ships in it. There's only one Lancer, and it's kind of isolated where it's parked. Like there's a decent space between it and other ships, and you can see outside of it what looks like in total. Let's take a look here. All right, go ahead and give me a perception.
I can do that. That's something I can do. What difficulty of perception?
Just average.
3 success, 2 threats.
3 success, 2 threats. The success is you see everything. The threat is you see all this stuff, and it's kind of scary. You can see in total what looks like 3 armed security guards, people in what looks like a uniform, though there's not a recognizable signia. They seem like kind of generic, like they got light blaster pistols. They're not heavily armored or anything. They seem to be in just like padded gear. And you see 3 of them. You see 2 what looks like fairly basic security droids with blaster rifles. You see 2 droids that look like more or less almost like civilian police models that are outfitted with what looks like stun batons and riot shields. You see 1 very large droid that looks like a almost industrial droid, probably for lifting and setting down large crates. Like a silhouette 2 instead of 1, so like reasonably much larger than a person would be. But you don't see anyone else. You assume pilot or the Kubaz maybe aren't out in front of this. But the security detail seems to be in total 3 security officers, 2 security droids, 2 riot droids, and then there's also a large droid that seems to be more of a worker than maybe security, though you don't know if it'll try and smash you, if it's built for that or not. And they seem to kind of be milling about around here. The droids seem to be on constant alert. The security guards seem to be like, there's like a hover sled that's empty out front that like 2 are sitting on, 1 standing in front of, and they seem to be like shooting the shit, smoking death sticks.
Could I take all of them? Maybe. Well,
and you'd know also, give me a quick just like knowledge underworld or streetwise.
I'm gonna do streetwise because that's better for me, and I have a rank in it. Average.
Yeah, just average.
1 success.
Okay. You'd also know that this particular space dock in this kind of part of town.
1 light side.
Oh. let me add to this.
Let's do that before we forget. And I make too many checks.
1 dark side. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. This particular section of space dock, you would know it has little to no Imperial craft coming and going, so there's little to no Imperial presence here, which means that security here is whatever you bring with you. So, like, if a fight broke out, it's not the kind of thing that'd be like, someone call the guards. It'd be like, hey, let's get out of here. Whoever wins this is clearly in the right. Like, that's you could start an engagement here of some sort, and it wouldn't cause additional attention.
Shooting over there again.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like walk in, look at it, and you're like, Look to you beside you, and there's probably still blaster marks on the wall from the last time engagement happened here. It wouldn't be unheard of for fighting to break out.
Part of me wonders if maybe Maybe the deception attempt is the way to go. I want to... Kind of what I'm thinking here is... it's another thing that I should have bought anyway, is a toolkit. Because that's just useful and I have money for it. So kind of what I'm thinking is buy a toolkit, borrow a hover sled and some ship parts. They don't have to be functional ship parts, but just a good assortment. MacGuffins.
Yeah.
To kind of hide my heavy blaster rifle amongst.
Okay.
Like borrow the sled and the ship parts from Garrow.
Yeah.
And
he'll let you dig through the garbage.
Yeah.
For some MacGuffins.
And just try and convince these guys that I'm a mechanic. Because I do have mechanics, so I could probably just spit enough technical jargon that a couple of mercs are like, whatever.
Sounds about right. I have the flux actuator for the atmosphere recondenser module.
What's the atmosphere uncondenser? I'm going to have to take a look. Uncondenses, recondenses. This guy's obviously a mechanic.
Clearly. I don't know what most of those things meant. Clearly this guy's in the right here. He can do this.
And then I guess at the very least, even if stuff goes wrong, I'm over next to them when stuff goes wrong, so that way I die fast.
Get beat to death quickly. Maybe just stunned by the batons.
But take some of them with me.
Mm-hmm.
This is my mechanical assistance droid.
Yeah, what's your plan for that? We'll see.
I mean, he could be the one pulling the hyper sled or the
hover sled.
The hover sled. I just got him around for muscle.
Mm-hmm.
These things are dime.
It's a dangerous town.
These things were dime a dozen after the war. Because the thing is, I mean, to some degrees, we don't need to offload the rifles here, but there's also a good chance that some of these guys are just using them.
You'd like give me another perception check to like specifically see what kind
like
of
at least
gear they have.
because if it's just pretty basic recognizable stuff, or if it's like
this one I'll say is easy. Because like they're all clearly brandishing their weapons. They're not like
everything that walks by.
They're like the droids are clearly holding and walking with them, and the people are just kind of like
one success, 3 advantages.
You can clearly recognize all of the weapons.
Okay.
Nobody is wielding anything that seems to be.
Because in theory, if I can get into the ship,
we
could just fly it back to Garo's shipyard, offload the stuff, and the pilot could just leave, get off world. It's 8 of them. I expect these guys probably, at least some of them probably aren't all that tough, but that's still just like, that's a lot of blaster fire coming back this way.
There's a decent chance that their threat is in their numbers, not their individual prowess. Though,
but it's still just
a lot of numbers.
It's a lot of numbers. Because in theory I could just set up and sort of guarantee that I kill one before the fight starts, and then it's just a 2-on-7. Plus however many are in the ship and come running out when all the fighting starts. It could also just be Nispo.
Interesting that the like ramp is down on the ship. Like, people could come and go pretty freely right now.
But I also do, to some degrees, need to deal with as many of these people as possible, just so that they can't recognize this equipment in the future.
Being inside the ship might get you somewhat of a bottleneck. You don't think that you think that the larger, like, industrial droid could fit inside of this ship, but it would probably, like, more or less transform or fold into, like, it wouldn't be like moving around. It'd, like, kind of fold into, like, a storage mode and get, like, driven up into there. Though you don't even know if that thing's really effectively a combatant.
Yeah, for all I know, it could just be a shipyard employee.
You think it seems like it's staying around, like it works with these individuals to some regard? Like, if you'd like to make, I'd call it a mechanics check to see if what you know about this kind of model of droid.
I'll give one a shot.
I'll call it a average mechanics.
1 success.
Okay. You would know that unless they did something to alter its... Like, basically, this thing is built to move heavy objects. If somebody went out of their way to, like, augment its programming to be somewhat defensive, it would be pretty scary because this thing is... I mean, just lumbers around, but it's very strong. It could smash very hard, but it would require, like, aftermarket parts and, like, intentionality to, like, I want this thing to have the option to crush people.
And that's kind of a gamble as to whether I think these guys would put that kind of effort into that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if it turns into a fight, I want my heavy blaster rifle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier to convince them I'm a mechanic if I don't have it. And that's kind of where I'm just like... going back and forth a little bit. Well, let's... Okay, I'll go buy a toolkit.
Okay. Useful to have regardless.
Yes, good. I should just have them. And, I'll... 20 minus... It's like... It's 1920? 1920.
I was about to say excellent year, but...
It was a year.
It was a year.
Wasn't a world war going on at the time, I guess, so...
It's kind of in between...
That's something.
In between massive, horrific events.
I'll go back to Garo and borrow a hover sled and some... I mean, junk parts, but just in case
Reasonable
they get ditched,
ones.
but ones that look alike. It's like, oh yeah, this could be a slew of replacement parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have Skull pull the... At least once we get back to the spaceport, I'll have Skull pull the hover sled. I'll hide my heavy blaster rifle amongst the scrap and kind of just put a tarp over it.
Go ahead and make... To hide, to, like, smuggle the weapon into there in a way. I mean, make an easy skullduggery check. I'll call that skullduggery.
Well, I'm naturally suited to skullduggery, not that I have any training in it. 1 success, 1 advantage.
Okay. You feel like not only is it well hidden, but fairly easily accessible.
Skullduggery is not what I would call a career skill of mine.
It's just something I'm naturally gifted at. So I'm a naturally gifted skullduggerer.
Put a little, smear a little grease in my fur.
Probably already there. But
Probably
yeah.
already there. Just walk up.
Okay. You approach, and the droids take note of you, but don't approach you. And one of the guys, like sitting on the kind of hover sled over there, kind of like looks over and like notices you, and then like says something to the other guy, and the other guy kind of like grabs his gun off that's leaning off that and walks over to you as you approach. Says,
"Which one of you fellas is a captain?"
Pilot's on board.
I just
Who are you?
I just got a call about some engine trouble.
Go ahead and give me an average deception.
Deception is cunning, luckily for me. 2 success, 1 threat.
2 success, 1 threat. He'll say, he'll be like, the threat. He'll be like, all right, fair enough. I don't know what he needs replaced in there. He kind of gestures over and you see the 2 like security droids that have like the shields. He says, go with them. They'll help you get the sled up onto the ship.
Appreciate it.
And he kind of goes to something on his arm and like pushes some buttons, and those 2 droids seem to like turn and go with you to kind of come over and more or less escort you up into the ship. Inside, you can see that there's kind of that central. This ramp leads right up into probably where like the freight would normally be stored, and you can see like a airdrop box that's kind of clearly planted in here. That's the only thing in here, more or less. And these 2 droids kind of walk over, and to the left around the corner, they guide you to what looks like an engine opening, a door that goes into an engine room, and you can hear inside of the pilot kind of be like, or probably the pilot, someone go, I'm working on it, stop trying to rush me, this is a intricate process. And one of the security droids just says, your parts have arrived. My parts?
I want to just hit the door to close the ramp.
Okay.
And quick draw on a security droid, I guess.
Okay, let's go ahead and you roll cool and they'll roll vigilance. And we will just do that. Their vigilance is probably pretty decent.
I bet my battle droid is better than your battle droid. my battle droid could beat up your battle droid.
That's pretty brutal. What is the cool of... Oh, wait, yeah, cool. His cool is not very good. Just 2 advantages for your friend. What did you get?
1 success, 2 advantages.
Okay, so... he seems like... Parts? And then, for the sake of making this a cool moment, there just happens to be like a Pokemon, like you happen to be next to on the button, you hit it and the ramp starts closing up. The droids seem to immediately take note that this is not good, like this isn't what you should do, and both are going to kind of turn towards you and pull out stun batons, and you can see they kind of like have them almost on like a little sheath sort of thing. It's kind of magnetically attached to their side, and they pull it out, and it's like buzz, like a little buzzing of electricity goes off on the end of each of them, and they're going to say cease action, and then they're going to try and beat you with their stun batons. They'll move in towards you. We will look up what they have for melee. Pretty decent.
It's how many days has it been? I just realized that my wounds are not.
How many wounds do you have?
I'm at 10 out of 15.
Weapon would have taken... So the first one... Weapon... We'll say 4 of them are back.
Good enough.
And...
Not that these guys are going to do wounds if they're beating me with stun batons, but...
You have 1 threat to spend, but you are going to get hit by the first one and the second one as well, for a total of... Excuse me, actually, I didn't roll this. I didn't add the purple to the second one. That should have been... Okay. So they had...
Of course I get hit. No question when you're about to throw a purple.
That is much better for you. So the first one will hit and will deal a total of 8 stun to you.
That's... Stun gets affected by soak as well, right?
Yes, it does. Does that help you not go down there?
Well, the 8 wouldn't have done it, but like...
But it would have been you pretty dangerously close. Yeah. The second one is a failure, both 2 advantages. So you have 1 threat to spend, how you see fit, and they will spend their 2
Fortunately, 1 threat isn't...
Not much.
Great.
Your next check will have a black die on it.
Okay.
As these things are kind of bearing down to bludgeon you. And then it's going to be you. It's going to be you. And they seem to be kind of like, they both kind of turn and they're like pressing their shields towards you and just going to try and beat you to unconsciousness.
Well, I will quick draw, which lets me aim. Draw a weapon and aim. I'll have the black setback die, and I believe I'll have 2 because this is engaged.
Yes.
We just talked about this.
Yes, yours.
It's still mostly in my favor. 1 success, 2 advantages.
Okay.
For 9 damage.
Okay.
With my modified heavy blaster pistol.
Is that 9 after that with the additional success? It's 8 plus 1, right?
Yeah.
Your pistol does 8 now.
Yes.
So total of 9. They will soak some of it. The one you hit will soak some of it and take some, but is still up. So you kind of like, it kind of props its shield up there, and you have to kind of like, you kind of quick draw and reach over the top of the shield and blast in, and it hits, and like some sparks and stuff shoot out of the side of it.
And it will get a black on its next check.
Okay. That'll have a black. Is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
Okay. Your friend will turn and kind of step next to you as well, so that it's next to where you are. It is going to suffer some strain, and it's going to suffer 2 strain, so all combat checks will be upgraded twice against you. So it'll be, instead of 1 purple to hit, it'll be a red and a purple to hit you, right? Because the first upgrade brings it to red, and the next one would be a purple. So it'll make it harder. It's going to kind of interpose there, and it's going to try and zap. I mean, it's going to do more damage with its blaster. It'll be hard to hit. It's just going to use its integrated brass knuckles and try and pummel one of these things. Which will be boop, boop. It's 2 inks and brawl. 4 burn. We'll say you went for the one that you went against, with 5 successes. Be that plus 1 damage, 6, so it doesn't actually really get that much. Luckily, he destroyed. So, he's just gonna kind of come and interpose, and he just swings a wide right hook, which kind of hits into the side of the droid that you're facing off with, that you blasted once, and it seems to damage it some more, but it is still up. And that's going to be the end of his turn. The ramp starts, and since it immediately pulls off the ground, it's not going to be easy for anyone to get in here right away to affect this situation. But we will see if anyone is quick enough to do anything.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that. I suppose I should wait to say that till somebody fails.
So this thing's trying to rise up, and you hear like a thump onto the ramp, and like glancing over, because you're still like kind of next to it looking up, you can see one of the security guards has like jumped and grabbed onto the ramp as it's slowly closing and is trying to pull himself up onto it, but isn't into the ship yet. But no one else seems to have made it on. And then we'll go back to the top, which will be these security droids. One is going to go against each of you. So it is yellow, green versus red, purple. You gave it a setback die, right?
Mm-hmm.
So roll a failure with 6 advantages. Good God.
Wow.
It's going to smack the blaster out of your hand, as well as give you a setback die on your next check. And give a blue to its friend's next check. So it kind of swings this, and the blaster flies from your hand and kind of scatters across the floor a little ways away from you. And then the next one's going to swing its baton at your droid friend, which will not be as easy which will be an easier swing. It has 1 blue die and no defense bonus that the robot gave you. That should be everything, right? No setback on his. Failure and 1 advantage. Wow. 3 of both the yellow dice did nothing, as well as the blue. Missed, but with 1 advantage.
Yeah.
He'll give a blue to his friend on his friend's next turn. After that, you're up.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just... I mean, the heavy blaster is probably better, but I don't think I can create enough space to use it effectively without making extremely difficult checks at close range with a very long weapon. So I'll probably just go for the blaster pistol.
Okay. Is there attacks of opportunity in the system? I can never remember.
I can never remember either. Engaged.
I think there's like kind of a talent that gives something similar, but I don't think you get one for free.
Sweet. Oh, yeah. The reason it says 404, that table said 404 not found, is it engaged with gunnery literally says may not make gunnery checks when engaged with an opponent.
There you go. So, you can run over and grab it, pick it up. That'll be your move and your maneuver to pick it up. And it'll put you at like short range, basically, from them.
Hey, that's fine with me. That's a slightly easier check. Because I don't have a droid flailing around in front of me. I don't have 3 droids flailing around in front of me. So I guess I'll just I'll just shoot the damaged one.
Okay.
Might as well just get him out of the fight. 1 success, 1 advantage. So that's another 9 damage. And Skull gets a blue on his next check.
Okay. The blast you kind of run to the side, turn and blast, and it goes like from a side angle to where the shield not impose at all. And it shoots through, and the thing kind of sputters and falls over, destroyed. And that's your turn. Mm-hmm. Skull is up, and we'll turn to the other one, and guess I'll just... His engaged will be its ranged large, will be 2 difficulty. It does more damage though. He's just gonna like engage the wrist blaster and just kind of point blank fire at this thing, which will be boop. Range light's just 1 rank. So versus that, and he has a setback die from the last one. Blue from you. 4 success, 1 advantage. Okay. The purple and black did not show up there. So that is with his blast. He is a integrated heavy blaster pistol. Does 7 plus 4 is 11. So 4 would be 7. So and that thing has that much, right? I think. Okay. A gnarly, like it blasts into it, and it does a solid amount of damage. The thing seems pretty injured, but is still up. After that, let's make the check here. Okay. And this guy on the ramp pulls himself up, kind of rolls onto it, pulls out his blaster pistol, and is going to take a shot at you. But will not be able to aim. You are still going to be at close range, though, and he's got not the most impressive of stats. Just have a look. No ranks, just do flat nothing. So he misses.
Whoa!
He blasts at you and misses. And then coming from like the cockpit direction, kind of running into the room, you see a particularly ugly looking Kubaz. He has a particularly weird brown wrinkly trunk. And he, that's not what I want to do, will not be able to do anything this round, but I'll tell you what he is wielding. He runs in and kind of like looks around, sees you, and is going to draw out a heavy blaster pistol. But that's the end of his turn. And it'll go back to the top with the remaining droid, who will attempt to stun baton your friend. Which was an easy thing to do last time, but did not matter. This time he hits. Okay. So, I guess a considerable amount of soap. Okay. It kind of swings down. This thing hits. It kind of your friend kind of raises up. Your droid raises up his arm and it hits against him. Some like shock kind of goes through the system, but it seems like an overall fairly inconsequential amount for how much your B2 friend has because of soak being good. After that, it is you.
There are technically 3 commands here. I'd like to retrieve my blaster rifle.
Okay.
My heavy blaster rifle instead.
I'll say because of your previous advantage, it's only a maneuver to get it out of the pile instead of a action.
Let's try and just end this.
Okay.
I'll try auto fire. Are all the combatants at short range here?
Yes.
Okay. So it upgrades a difficulty. No, is it +1 difficulty or does it upgrade the one that exists?
I think I
think
I'm reading it wrong if it's upgrade.
I think it might just make the check more difficult. But I don't remember. Auto fire. Increase the difficulty.
Increase. So it will be an additional.
Yeah. So that's 2. Plus that. I can't aim. I just can't aim.
But you're auto firing.
But I'm auto firing. So, and there was no other blues or blacks from any of the previous rounds, right? Cool. Well, one guy is super dead.
Who are you shooting at?
I was going to shoot at the Nispo.
Okay.
Because he's like the actual sort of main target here. Mm-hmm. 5 successes, 1 threat, for a total of 15 damage.
Well, his soak of 3... 15 exactly?
Yeah.
So you're saying someone who had a total of 12 wounds and 3 soak would be exactly dead in one blast. But there's a 1 threat, so you're not able to like kind of spray around and hit anybody else. But you're trying to like unload... Like he comes in and is like... And then just like gets riddled with blaster rounds and drops. The one will...
I could suffer a strain or lose the benefits of a prior maneuver, such as taking cover or swinging
It causes you 1 strain to see just how horrifically massacred this Kubaz is.
Objective 1 complete.
Don't need this stat block anymore.
Don't you hate it when your players do that?
But he wasn't that like interesting to run or impressive. I have a number of stat blocks up on here, so one less to deal with is actually kind of a nice thing. That's your turn, and then it is your droid friend's turn, who will go after the police droid that got blasted by him last time. And we'll go boop, 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 versus boop, boop. He's engaged. Roll to success. So he turns and just unloads the blaster on his arm, and it finishes off the security droid next to him.
And now this guy's locked in here with us.
Exactly. And he will aim and fire at you. Because he can't... Oh, nope, no yellows. Just 2 green. But he will aim. Close range. Roll. Ooh, that's a good hit for him, though. That is 4 success. No advantage or threat. And he's using a light blaster pistol, so it'll be 9 damage.
Okay, so I take 5.
He gets a really good shot on you.
This is why I want super upgraded armor. But that super upgraded armor will only cost me an extremely difficult, a probably difficult quest line and 21,000 credits.
21,000.
After
that's a future
post-upgrading.
Yeah, that's a future plan.
Yeah.
You'll get there someday. One day.
I hope so.
All right. And that's his turn. The security droids no longer get a turn because they're both dealt with, so it is you.
I'll just turn and fire at that guy.
Okay. You are in
not
close range.
auto-firing and just aiming.
Okay.
Overall, makes the roll just much easier. 2 success, 2 advantage, 1 triumph.
I wouldn't worry about critical injuries. Is it going to be more than 8 damage for someone with 4 wounds and 4 soak?
It's 12.
So you kill him, and then kill him a second time.
Pretty much, yeah.
You double how much damage... Well, not... After soak, the remaining damage is twice his wounds, so you blast him and he's dead.
So that's 3. That's 3 of the people from outside. So there's only 5 left out there. Although, is that including the giant droid? I don't remember. Although they have seen me, so maybe it is worth just killing them all, so I don't have to deal with whatever this merc security force is showing up every once in a while.
With a note on it, it's like, I want him dead. He robbed me. Kill this scumbag. From whoever you just robbed in the last city or in
yes,
Skyrim.
Whoever you just robbed, that guy standing over there because you just stole the steel ingots from out under the forge. Walk across the street. Couple of
heavies in steel armor show up. Or Beskar. Hopefully not Beskar.
I'm not mad that you called these thugs on me. I want to know how you got them so fast. I walked across the street. We're within shouting distance of each other.
You could have just said, "Hey, you, stop," and called the guards that are here, I suppose. Anyway, that's your turn. We're going to keep in initiative order for the sake of this. Your droid will kind of ready to look like intimidating in front of the door in case the pilot comes out and has any funny ideas. After which the pilot will kind of like peek around the corner, and you can see it is clearly a Mon Cal, a pretty brightly orangish color on Mon Cal, who kind of like peeks around and is like, what's going on out here? I don't have any money, or if I do, it's yours.
You've done your part.
He'll just kind of nod and peek back around from the corner, and at this point, the ramp kind of gets right to where it's about to close, and then you can see it start to like pause, and it's like starting to slowly lower.
I am going to...
Like somebody maybe activated something on the outside.
One range defensive 1. Does that stack with Does that stack with going prone? Attacks upon target with ranged, light, range, heavy, or gunnery check. He suffers 1 black. So if I use like a crate for cover, getting the cover bonus, which is just 1 black, and I'm prone, do I get the 2nd black against ranged attacks from being prone?
2 black total?
Yeah.
I'd say yeah. If you set up that way, I mean, it'll mean that like if you want to move to somewhere else, you have to stand up first and stuff. Yeah. But and there's only really the crate of weapons to use as cover.
That's a good point.
It seems like it's made out of like it's pretty sturdy, so you'd think that there's not a great chance that they would take damage, but you would be able to like lay down behind the kind of siege peak around the corner of it and have pretty solid cover.
Yeah, I'll do that. I don't recall any of these people having like rocket launchers or anything like that. So
you didn't see any explosives on any of them. You saw either blaster rifles or blaster pistols.
I'll set that up while the door's opening. I don't expect that. I don't expect anything in there will take any damage. We'll find out, but I want to deal with everybody before I figure out where all the guns went.
Your droid friend is going to kind of walk up to the doorway, the mechanics room, and he'll like, because with his turn, he's going to walk up there, kind of lean in and say, "Stay put," and then push a button and close the door to the engine room, and then he's going to ready his blaster, but he's going to be so like the ramp kind of drops from the center of this cargo bay and then around either side goes to other compartments, so it's dropped down here, and so, like, walking up, they'll come this way, and your box is right here that you're behind cover, kind of looking straight on. He's going to stand in that hallway so that he kind of has, like, a side view on where they're coming from and ready from that direction. To kind of give you guys crossfire on the people or droids approaching. And then it'll be the people or droids approaching. So
People and droids.
People and droids. It seems like the 2 running in first are going to be the 2 droids. The other 2, the people seem to be kind of staying back.
Get up, droids!
It'll kind of finish dropping, and right as it's getting ready to like, it's not quite to the bottom, you hear like thump of like the 2 droids running in, and they're both going to be taking shots at you because you're the direct line from them. They do have blaster rifles. Wrong direction on the stat box. Not that stat block. You do not want me to use that one against you yet.
Flips through to Rancor. Yeah, sure.
Sure. I'll just give them its melee stats as their ranged attack. So ranged heavy, they just have 2 green. So they will have their 2 green with they will get a maneuver, and they did have the rifle ready, so I'll let them aim. But it'll be against your that and 2 of those. So,
am I thinking of? Is it just Savage Worlds where you can't aim? You in order to aim, you have to not move.
Oh wait, moving is a maneuver as well.
Yeah.
You can either move or use maneuver. Yes, good point. So I will take their blue away and reroll.
Just making sure, because I know some stuff is like incidental actions.
It's not. So them moving up would be their maneuver. I always forget that it's not move and maneuver. That moving is a maneuver. You could either move or do. I'm too used to action, bonus action, movement action from D&D. But so one of them moves up, blasts at you, 2 threat for you to spend. The other one moves up, 3 failures, but to advantage. So it'll go ahead and just give a blue to one of the people behind him.
Well, I'm going to add a blue to the targeted character's next check, which is me.
So you'll get a blue on your next check. There's also going to be 2 blaster shots coming from, like, light blasters from the guys. They're down further, and you can see they've kind of like, they're kind of taken cover, one behind the hover sled, and one's just kind of like right at the bottom of the dock, trying to kind of use the droids as cover. And the 2 of them are both going to shoot, but they're going to be at medium range from you, so it'll be a harder shot. So don't get 2 additional. 2 purple and 2 black for your cover. The first one is a success, but 3 threats, which will be with the light blaster pistol. I think that's 5 plus the 1. Right? Not the load lifter. Yeah, damage is 5. So it'll be 6 damage before soak.
6 damage before soak. Okay. That's
and then you have 3 more threat to spend. And you have a total of 6 threat to spend, as the second one gets just 3 threats. So you have
total of 6.
You have 2 sets of 3 threat to spend, but you take the damage. The one like kind of close in the dock gets a shot that kind of just grazes your shoulder that you're peeking out under. The other one goes wide.
Can I spend all 6 and just give myself 3 more blue?
Sure, why not? You're going to have one real good blast.
Because the active character falls prone would have been funny, but then that would have given them
cover
from me making ranged attacks. Mm-hmm. So that would have been that would have been funny. Trigger autofire by spending 2. Autofire triggered multiple times. Each time the trigger attacker triggers autofire, it deals an additional hit to the target. But you can also... These additional hits can be allocated to the original target or to other targets within range of the weapon. Right. So, I will aim for a total of 5 blue at these close... We'll start with the close droids.
Mm-hmm. I assume auto-firing?
Yes.
So it'll be 2 purple instead of 1?
So 2 purple, 2 yellow, 1 green, 5 blue. That is 5 success, 3 advantages.
So you can auto-fire to 2. You can hit 2 of them.
Yes, yeah. So I'll hit both of these droids for 15 damage apiece.
So you just blast, and these 2 droids just get absolutely riddled with blaster shots and both collapse. You still have 1 more to spend if you'd like to. Technically.
Oh, that's true.
You'll need to spend 2 to trigger autofire.
Skull gets a blue on his next check.
Okay. Seeing this happen and kind of seeing the direction you get fired at from, Skull, I think, is going to... Sure. Skull is going to... Well... Yeah, he's not scared of these guys. Skull's going to just kind of... Since it's kind of open to this ramp, he's going to, you see, kind of like retract the thing and then punch the fist together, and the shock's going to go on. And he's just going to kind of turn and step down, kind of ducking underneath, and kind of thump down onto it right in front of the guy who's kind of at that off angle. And he's going to run up and try and... he's going to approach him and try and smack him. Which will be... pretty easy for him, I assume. He's going to be engaged against this guy who's got no defense. And he's got 2 of those and 2 of those. Against 1 purple and a blue from you. 3 success, 2 advantage. Which 3 success on those will be... The shot glove has 3, so that's a total of 6 to... So he's just gonna hit him once with this, and he's soaked for. So, well, wait, they don't have so technique. So he just hits him he just kind of comes down and thumps down with both the fists, and the guy just and falls over unconscious in front of him because he does not have a strain threshold. As long as he can get through the soak with his strain, he does enough. And then it'll be the other security guard's turn, who is the only real combatant left, who is going to take a shot at your droid, I guess, because it's the more immediate and easier to shoot at threat, which will be 2 green. He will aim.
What are the odds of that one?
2 green, 1 purple, 1 blue. All of them are flat nothing.
It's not even stuff canceling each other out for nothing. It's just
flat nothing.
Nothing.
Just flat nothing. No dice roll anything. So he just shoots wide and misses, and then it's your turn.
Guess I'll shoot at him.
He's going to be medium range from you.
Okay, I'll take an aim. Does he get a cover bonus?
He does. So he'll have 1 black.
1 1 success, 1 advantage. That's 11 damage.
You blast and hits the guy and he goes down dead.
Okay.
The droid, your skull, will kind of look up to you. He looks up to you. He's going to kind of turn and look up to you and kind of gesture to the one
he knocked out.
To the one he knocked out and say, and just kind of that turns.
Does he stomp him or shoot him?
He shoots.
Okay.
He's just gonna just blast him while he's down, and you can see that, and he kind of like turns and like readies itself, and it doesn't seem like the load lifter's really getting involved at all. It just kind of like looks. It's just kind of like looking at the man.
Well, damn.
Like, this is not ideal, but it doesn't seem to be like moving aggressively towards anything. It just seems to kind of be in a defensive stance, maybe. And you're effectively out of an initiative order. Unless you'd like to start a fight with the pilot.
No, I think we'll just... Well, I want to crack open the crate first and see how many blaster rifles are there, or how many of these experimental rifles.
There are 20.
There are 20?
They look...
Good.
high-tech, if a little wonky. They're kind of like picture somebody who's only ever held like a World War II era rifle, and you're just like handing them like a FAMAS or something. Like, they're just like, the way it's shaped and stuff is all very like unnatural to what a blaster rifle would normally be. If you wanted to get some sort of idea of what they do or how they work, you could make a mechanics check.
Yeah, it's none of my business.
They seem kind of strange. But it seems like all 20 are in this case.
I think I'll stick with this heavy blaster rifle.
It seems to be working quite well.
It did quite well today.
Mm-hmm.
So I will. I'll just repack it and we'll load up the crate on this hover sled that I conveniently brought for exactly this purpose. Throw a tarp over it. Hit the road.
As you're like the pilot, the Moncal pilot will come back out.
Every fight I'm in,
and he'll kind of come back out and be like, and you can see like he kind of is starting to like drag the bodies out of his ship, and the first one he drags off, you see kind of like pulling away, and he kind of messes with the body for a second. You see him like pull something out and push on it, and you see the load lifting droid kind of like fold down and start to roll into it. Kind of like nods, like, "Oh, I'm sweet."
I was gonna say that. Like, that seems like this
he
guy
just got himself a pretty useful load lifter there.
Yeah.
And he does not give you any trouble. He doesn't ask any questions. He seems like he probably has already been paid or could gather his pay off of these people and has no need to.
They've got some amount of kit. I don't know, net them a little bit at least.
Yeah. Some weapons to sell. Some droid parts, definitely. Decent quality stun batons.
Yeah, there's junkyards all over the place around here. I'll take a handful of droid parts off you.
One of them is missing their junkyard dog at the moment. That's beside the point.
The junkyard dogs out there running free in the wide world.
Out there being a bloodhound.
Biting new things and smelling strange and exotic smells. Well, I suppose we'll drop the hover sled off first, and Garrow's junk, which I will loudly announce that I've brought his junk back and his hover sled.
And go ahead and drop it, whatever pile you pulled it out of.
Then we'll take the crate back to Karan Tazi.
Okay. Bringing it back to like in front of there's the same security droids there, and again there's kind of like that pause, and then what looks like a smaller load lifter style droid is going to come
because I was going to be snarky about the guy about, do you want me to put this in the box too?
And like a smaller load lifter droid with a pair of what looks like kind of the outfitted mercs are going to come around, and it's going to take the box, and they're going to go around the building to some other area with them.
I can erase the name of another target off of my character sheet. Otherwise, I'd reach the point where there'd just be way too many. It's better to just keep the names of people I actually want to talk to written down. I suppose I'll head up top.
Okay. Heading up top, you will, like, same thing, check your guns, leave your droid at the door, tie him up to the droid station out front, and you'll be able to... I don't know who would try and steal him. Can't imagine it'd go well. But you'll go up to the same kind of penthouse floor, same sort of look when you get up there. Maybe a different grouping of
people are in
hangouts.
slightly different places.
But most people seem to be hanging about apart from your previously encountered, who at least introduced himself as the leader of this whole deal, Kadan Tazi. And he'll good work. From what I understand, with reports I'm hearing, there were no one walked away apart from a Mon Cal pilot from that situation. And I have been told by the crew loading the shipment that the full shipment is there. Clearly, Miss Horn was not lying when she said that you were capable.
I try and fulfill contracts at the very least to the letter, if not a little above and beyond.
Your thoroughness is appreciated. And he will give you 4,000 credits. As well as he will give you a comlink. It kind of looks like that classic little microphone comlink that you see most people have, except it's black and it has the Nebula Syndicate brand kind of on it. And he says that...
I'll write it down right next to my other comlink.
He says that if we have need of you, we will reach out to you through this. Pleasure doing business with you. I am sure we will have more work in the near future for someone of your talents.
I look forward to it.